Mike's hot.
Good morning. Utah Golf Radio coming to you live today from Soldier Hollow, where we are here for the final of the Utah State Amateur Championship. And let's go immediately to our reporter on the ground, Kurt Craigthorpe. Tell us what's happening in the final match between Bowen Moss and Cameron Crawford. What up, Kurt?
Okay, we're off to a bit of a slow start, and I'm only speaking of myself. But they're on the second green right now, so at some point I'll be catching up and able to give live coverage. But I'll just start with a couple notes.
Please.
From the perspective of Bowen Moss, he's trying to become the first back-to-back champion since Preston Summerhays.
Who did it at this golf course.
Exactly, 2019. And what was interesting about that is that was actually 3 months before Preston committed to Arizona State.
Oh, wow.
A high school junior at that time. And so he wasn't truly a Sun Devil like Bowen is, but there's certainly that tie-in. And then as we talked about yesterday, Cameron Crawford being the first mid-am player, being 25 and older. He's 38 to appear in a State Am final in 10 years. So it's kind of a throwback to the 60s and 70s when you often would have a working class golfer playing against a collegian in the final. So it's kind of cool.
Very cool. All right. We'll let you catch up with them. Thank you, Kurt. And we'll be checking in with you throughout the show. That is Kurt Craigthorpe. The first hole, they got off at 7:30, went out a little early this morning. The match is tied after one hole. Bowen Moss, Cameron Crawford, both making par fours on the number one hole here at Soldier Hollow Gold. So we are coming to you in partnership with Utah's leading golf organizations, the Utah Golf Association, the Utah Section PGA, Fairways Media, the Utah Golf Foundation, the Utah Golf Course Superintendents Association, the Utah Junior Golf Association, and First Tee Utah. I am Paul Pugmire, your host and president of First Tee Utah. We're here with our co-host, Jan Brownstein. Jan, good morning.
Good morning.
It is State Am final day.
I was just going to say it's State Am Saturday.
State Am Saturday. I love this day. This is one of the great days of the year, and it takes a heck of a lot of work to get there. And we are sitting also with Easton Folster, who is the executive director of the Utah Golf Association. And I'm talking about all this work, but I ain't doing it, Easton. You and your team are.
Yeah, it's certainly a team effort, though, and you've been up here, I think, pretty much every day, so we appreciate it, and couldn't do it without you guys as well.
Well, I think you could. straight up. I think you totally could. As a matter of fact, this is the 128th consecutive playing of this golf tournament. It started in 1899, and in case I ever forget that, it is plastered right there on your forehead, Easton, and I'm not making that up. You're wearing a hat that says 1899. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's actually been surprising to me, and, I'll even take a little bit of blame. I've been here since 2018, and I feel like we haven't shown the 1899 off as much as we should be. It's something that we should take a lot of pride in. And so, yeah, this year our tee gift to players, as you mentioned, has 1899 on the front of the hat. So we're excited to show it off, and hopefully we can celebrate that. I don't know how many things in life start in 1899 and are still going without any interruption. So we take a lot of pride in that.
That raises a really interesting question, and we might ask AI, but right now I have no idea. But anyway, the 128th consecutive playing of this great tournament. It is the longest continuously played golf tournament in the world, and they're out there going at it now. It is a remarkable format. You and I were talking about this earlier this week. I think this format, which of course is modeled after the USGA's staging of the U.S. Amateur Championship, I think this format asks more of its champion than any other format in the game of golf.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I can't name another tournament. You've obviously mentioned U.S. Amateur for sure, but it's 9 to win the championship. It's 9 rounds of golf. it's not necessarily cool out there either. It's, it's hot.
There's that.
These last few rounds, we make players walk too. So there's certainly an endurance element to this championship, which I think you've pointed out, that it makes it a test for sure.
There's an endurance element and a survival element. And I think the only other format that comes close is the NCAA National Championship. However, that is a team event. Any individual can have an off day and the team can carry them. In fact, that happens every single year. And it happens with the stars. We have seen NCAA champions whose stars have off days, get beat in the match play, or maybe don't put up a good number in the stroke play portion, whatever. And yet the team advances, the team survives, the team wins because it's a team event. This is individual. If an individual has an off day, if an individual in the stroke play has a blow up hole, they're done.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't think you can stumble into winning the Utah State Amateur.
No.
It's not.
Okay, I'm going to steal that.
Yeah,
I can't stumble into it.
Yeah, certainly there's some element. Every sporting event needs a little bit of luck, but it's a test, as you mentioned. I mean, look at the gauntlet that Cam Crawford's had to go through
Unreal.
to get to this point. And so, I mean, we mentioned he's a mid-am player, and that's certainly unique over the last few years. But I mean, look at the players that he's had to beat to get to this point. So, certainly deserving.
Absolutely. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's check in with Kurt Craigthorpe. They've completed hole number 2. Kurt, bring us up to date.
All right, I'm still catching up, but I got a couple of more notes for you. I'll first start by following up on what Easton said about how Cameron got here, and it's just remarkable to consider that on Thursday afternoon, through 13 holes, he was 3 down to BYU's Angus Clintworth, ended up winning in 19 holes. And then yesterday, the epic 23-hole match with Jackson Ross, Bowen's brother, followed by making an eagle on number 18 in a tied match to Noah Moody. I mean, it's one of the great stories ever, regardless of what today's outcome is.
No kidding. It is incredible. Okay. I know that they are moving quickly, and so we're gonna let you catch up to that. They both parred the second hole as well, so 2 pars to start. Pardon me, they both birdied the second hole, both made 4, but the fact is the match is tied through 2. All right, thank you, Kurt. We'll check back with you in a minute. So Easton, Kurt is making a point here that is really important. The players that do get here, and you and I are just talking about this, most everybody who succeeds in this tournament has a close call somewhere along the way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when I was looking at Cam Crawford's results, I want to say that his first match he won 1 up, and of course yesterday, I mean, he was 23 holes, and so it's been quite a ride for him. And so, yes, I think if we looked back at the history of our champions, I bet all of them at some point have had to overcome adversity. And Cam's had it, and Bowen Moss certainly had a really epic match with David Lichty that finished on 19 holes. I think I speak for everybody who would like to have seen that match go on forever, and certainly could have been a final, but just the way the bracket worked out, they met in the quarterfinals. And so Bowen had to endure that. And it's just, it's over 9 rounds of golf. You're going to have some close calls, but they've certainly deserved to be here.
It's interesting you say that. A couple things about the Lichty Bowen Moss match that came in the quarters. First of all, when that match revealed itself the night before, I got a text from Dan Horner, former champion of this event, one of the greats of the Utah game, and he said, "This feels like a final." and he's right, it does. The other thing that's interesting is the reason that the bracket allowed it to happen in the quarters is because Bowen Moss, buckle your seatbelts, folks, he was a 49 seed. He did what he needed to do in the stroke play. He made the top 64, and then once at that, everybody starts at 0. but he went in as a 49 seed. So he was out of position and kind of messed up the bracket, to be candid. And so, but led to very interesting matchups.
Yeah, that's and I'm sure the opponent that was waiting to see who he was facing was hoping maybe it wasn't Bowen. You play well in those stroke play days, and then your first round draw ends up being the state am champ. That's tricky, but you're right. I wouldn't have predicted that he would have been the 49 seed, as you've mentioned.
No. I do need to note that we are powered here at Utah Golf Radio by T-Box at tbx.golf, where they have cracked the code on the whole golfer experience. Check them out, tbx.golf. You will want to get yourself to a T-Box. It's a good time. And also we want to note that this first hour of the show is presented by Salt Lake City Golf at slcgolf.com or the Salt Lake City Golf app, where you can get your tee times on any of the great Salt Lake City golf courses. Okay, back to work here. Bowen Moss is now 1 up through 3. Let's check in with Kurt Craigthorpe.
What I would tell you, Paul, is that these guys are playing really fast. When you think about the fact that the quarterfinal match between Jackson Moss and Crawford lasted 6 hours for those 23 holes.
Yeah, wow.
They're moving pretty good here. There was actually an anecdote yesterday with Cam and Jackson were standing on the second tee, and they actually had to wait while the players in front of them were walking. And Cam says, when we had carts, we played it 2.5 hours. So.
No, that's kind of interesting. I was live streaming the Bowen Moss David Lichty match earlier this week, and they were on the heels of the match in front of them, which ended early, so there was a little bit of a gap, but 2 holes later they caught up to the match that was in front of them still. They were moving right along. So maybe it's a Bowen Moss thing.
It's good to see how fast they're walking today. I think they're taking advantage of this golden hour with Easton and the staff having moved up the tee times a half hour. It was sure a pleasant start.
Yeah, that's very nice. Okay, so Bowen Moss makes a birdie 2 on the par 3 third hole and moves to 1 up. All right, thank you, Kurt. We'll check back with you in a minute. Easton, there are so many stories underneath the surface in an event like the State Am. This is actually what led to the 10 Who Can Win thing that we do every year with the State Am. That sprang from a conversation that Tommy Sharp and I were having. Tommy was saying there should only be a bracket of 32. There was only 10 who can win, Paul, and we know who they are. And he's not wrong. His point being, now the number may be 10, it may be something different, but we landed on 10. But his concept is the top players rise in a demanding format like this. My point in response is there's 100 reasons that people have for being at the State Am and wanting to be a part of it. And I'm not wrong either. We have different perspectives. Tommy is a State Am champ. He is a champion throughout his life in many different fields. And he wants to win it. I want to play in it because I want to be there. Different stories, but you are right there to see all of them. What kind of stories get your attention?
Yeah, you're certainly right. There's a lot of storylines that come out of the State Am. They're always fun to see how they evolve over the week. You had mentioned, there's varying reasons to play in the State Am. I had actually met somebody this week where we had a mutual friend, and he introduced himself, and I asked him how he played, and he said not well. I think he ended up being maybe at the bottom of the leaderboard. But to your point, he was so proud to have qualified. In fact, he said as much, that he was so excited to be here. It was one of his goals to qualify for the State Am. So the State Am is, there's levels to it. There's certainly people that is their big goal, is just to be here and to play in the stroke play. Then there's people that their goal is to make match play. There's some that want to win a match, and then there are, a handful that really think that, they can win it, and that is their goal. And so I think that's what makes it special, is there's varying levels of accomplishment. And I think that's what really is, I think, inviting about the event. We had 900 people, over 900 people.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was the number of people who attempted to qualify?
Yeah, so we've got 11 qualifiers over, about a month's time, spread out throughout the state of Utah. The field size of each of those qualifiers is 84. We have filled that over the last few years. I think we were maybe 20 short of filling that this year. But it's over 900 people that try to qualify. And then we get to this week, and as you guys did with your list, there's, you guys put together a top 10 list. I would argue that a bracket of 64 is necessary, as we saw this week. The 1 seed got beat by a 64.
Okay, we want to talk about that.
Oh, jumping ahead, yeah. And maybe I'll just close that point with, we'd mentioned Bowen Moss was a 49 seed, if I'm not mistaken, and had it been a bracket of 32, he wouldn't be here. So, well, I like the bracket of 64. I think once you get to that 64 level, at any point somebody can win a match, but I don't want to jump ahead too much. I think we'll probably talk about.
No, let's.
And then, again, you're going from 900, and then 238. 288 make it, and then you take 288 to 64. That's
right.
Nuts.
Yeah, and we always, from an administration standpoint, we really like to get to that 64 day. The 288 is over 2 golf courses. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts. And so once we get to Wednesday, it feels pretty good.
Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. And then actually my favorite day of all this is the second day of match play. That is what the great Kurt Craigthorpe calls the most jarring day in golf, when the match play bracket goes from 32 players to 8 in one day. And so you're cutting the field by 3/4 in one day. Really interesting stuff. Speaking of Kurt Craigthorpe, let's check in with him and see how he's doing. Kurt, what's up out there?
Okay, here we are at the very end of the property at
the
number 4 green. And the players are sizing up their birdie putters in hand, and not sure who will go first. But I just want to follow up on what Easton said. I thought one of the best columns ever written in Fairways was by Easton Folster, when he said kind of just what he said now. There's different goals for every state AM player. And so, for some, it's getting in the field. For some, it's getting into match play. For some, it's winning one match. And ultimately, everybody wants to be the champion, but there can only be one. But a lot of players in all walks of life leave satisfied. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it is. It is really, really cool. Thank you, Kurt. We'll check back with you in a minute. Easton, you and your staff put together a really cool thing called the State Am by the Numbers. Let's pick up on some of these themes you and Kurt have been talking about. Let me just get a couple of high-level ones, and then I want to dive in on some of the others. First of all, there were 8 former champions in this field, including 3 who won on this golf course. Those 3 are Jordan Rogers, Cole Ogden, and Dan Horner. Jordan did not make the match play. Cole Ogden and Dan Horner both did, but had early exits. There were 183. This is staggering to me. 183 players in the field with a 0.0 handicap, scratch or lower. Unreal. 183. That means you're going to be a plus handicap, have a 50% chance of making match play. Less than. Amazing. The lowest handicap in the field was a plus 5.8. Was that Brandon Robinson?
I actually think it was David Lichty.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense as well. And then pick up on some of these other numbers, because these start to get, Easton, into what you wrote about in your column of all the different reasons that people have to be here.
Yeah, so I think we touch on, a variety of talent and different kind of demographics. You've pointed out a few. So the youngest player this week was none other than Drace Finau, Tony's son, being age of 14, and really put together a nice second round. I think he would have probably been inside the cut line. I think the first round did him in a little bit, but we're excited to see him over the next number of years, and maybe he'll be vying for a championship like his dad was. So
yeah, and can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
There's an interesting epilogue point on that. In 2008, the first State Am that was played at this golf course, it was a legendary final between Tony Finau and Danny Summerhays. And Danny was going for his third State Am. Tony Finau was a high school kid, 17-year-old up-and-comer. And Finau got in Danny's way. Finau won the State Am. But that final, Danny Summerhays, Tony Finau, there's an epilogue to it, and that is in this year's State Am on this golf course, their sons made the field. Jack Summerhays and, as you mentioned, Drace Finau both played in this State Am. I think that is beautiful.
A lot of fun, and we paired them together. You probably
I saw that.
So
sure.
some pairings just make too much sense that we can't avoid them.
Can't not do it.
That was one of them for sure. So yeah, so we went from 14 years old all the way up to 69 years old, with Paul Cannon representing our super senior division.
Mm-hmm.
So 14 to 69, you mentioned the handicap spread of plus 5.8 to actually the highest of a 5.8.
Okay.
So pretty good spread there. The number of juniors, and I don't want to jump ahead too much, but the number of juniors in the field being 18 or younger was 51. And the other thing I think that really stands out is we had, of course, the field size being 288, but we had 287 male golfers, and we had one female golfer, of course, being Whitney Bands, who plays at BYU. And so we take a lot of pride in that. We host qualifiers all the way up at times in Logan. This year we were at Eagle Mountain in Brigham City, all the way down to St. George. We were out at Dynaland out east, and then also at Ochre Hills in Tooele. And so this is a state event that I hope every golfer takes a lot of pride in. So young, old, male, and in this case this year female, plus 5.8 or a 5.8. We feel like we touch a lot of different golfers in the state of Utah.
Absolutely. All right. Easton, we're going to ask you to stay with us for the next segment as well, if that works for you. We've got a lot we still want to talk about, but we do need to go back and take care of some of the things we do here on Utah Golf Radio. Jan, we need to do ourselves a JetX update. The JetX Jug, brought to us by our good friends at Scott Golf. Check them out. That's UPOT update. JetX Jug, brought to us by our friends at First Utah Bank. Check them out at firstutahbank.com. Branches around the valley. You want to get yourself to First Utah Bank. Jan, let's look at the JetX Jug standings.
Well, it looks like Rhino is still in first place. Again, he has 3 players with points, and most importantly, he has Austin Smotherman, who is our MVP at the moment at 70. So T-Fresh Golf, Taylor, Curb Dog, Triple H, and then Jordan Blocks. I'm still in, bringing up the rear.
Well, in the top 5.
That's bringing up the rear of the top 5.
Report. The JetX Jug, of course, the backdoor fantasy game we play here at Utah Golf Radio, where we are identifying the 3 players who will barely make the FedEx Cup playoffs. You get a point for every position they finish up to and including number 70, 71 and beyond. No points.
Nothing.
Not a nil. And so fun game to play. Entries are closed for this year, but you can follow along. UtahGolfRadio.com and the obvious JetX buttons. All right, let's do ourselves a UPOT update. UPod update. This actually is brought to us by our good friends at Scott Golf. Check them out at scottgolf.com. This Utah product, this Utah Golf Club is so sweet. Best feeling clubs I've ever played. Check them out, scottgolf.com. Jan, how the boys be doing?
All right. Well, last week they were at the John Deere. Zach Blair got himself a beauty, got himself a top 10, T9, minus 16, 268 on rounds of 63, 68, 67, and 70.
Go, Zach.
Yes. Tony Finau finished T58 minus 7, 277 on rounds of 70, 68, 68, and 71. Fish was also at the John Deere. He finished T67 minus 4, 280 on rounds of 65, 71, 71, 73. There are 2 tournaments going on this week, but we are not in any of them.
Actually, if you'll give me just a minute.
Oh, did I miss something? In the
ISCO Championship. Zach Blair currently sits at T19. He is at minus 6, 134 on rounds of 69 and 65. Unfortunately, Patrick Fishburne missed the cut, 140 on rounds of 67 and 73. But Zach continues his strong play.
What is going on?
He's drinking
the Kool-Aid.
And so Zach, top 20 going into the weekend.
Nice. Okay, Corn Ferry Tour. They are at the Blue Championship. And currently, Taylor Montgomery sits T22 minus 7, 137 on rounds of 68 and 67. Preston Summerhays currently sits T61 minus 3, 141 on rounds of 68 and 73. Daniel missed the cut at plus 1, 145 on rounds of 72 and 73. Kihei missed the cut, minus 2, 142 on rounds of 72 and 70.
He missed it by 1. Kihei did a brutal lip out on the 36th hole, or he would have played the weekend.
That sounds familiar because he had a brutal lip out on where was he? The last tournament he in the PGA tournament he played in.
We'll come back.
He had a lip out on 16. It was
okay.
Crazy. Okay, on the Americas Tour, they are at the Explore NB Open, and Connor Howe currently sits T33 minus 8, 134 on rounds of 68 and 66. Cole Ponich missed the cut, minus 5, 137 on rounds of 69 and 68. That's kind of it's strange to see 60s and have him miss a cut.
These courses are set up to go low.
Yeah.
We just know that.
Yeah. Mike Weir last week he missed the cut last week. He's at the College Championship. He currently sits T11 minus 2, 138 on rounds of 66 and 72.
Okay. All right. We want to give some love to the Bank of Utah Players of the Week presented by the Utah Golf Association. And I'm just going to kind of get in front of you, Easton, here, if that's okay, and say that right now, so far, we have co-players of the week, and they're out on the course right now, the finalists in the Utah State Am. Is that fair enough?
I think that's pretty fair.
Bowen Moss and Cameron Crawford, co-players of the week. All right. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, more with Easton Folster and Kurt Craigthorpe out on the course. You are listening to Utah Golf Radio, powered by T-Box on the Rocky Mountain Golf Network.
Clear, guys. Back at 20, guys. Mike is hot.
Yeah. We are back. Utah Golf Radio coming to you live today from Soldier Hollow, where we are here for the final of the Utah State Amateur Championship. Let's go right away to Kurt Craigthorpe and get an update. Kurt, what's going on out there?
Okay, as we speak, Cameron Crawford is standing over a 40-foot putt on number 5, and Bowen Moss has about 12 feet ahead of that. So.
Okay, and Moss actually looks like he made his birdie putt on the previous hole on number 4 to go 2 up.
Those, classic match play situations where Bowen putted first from outside of Cam, and he made his, and Cam missed. So it looked like a possible tie there, and instead it's 2 up.
All right, Bowen Moss 2 up through 4. Thank you, Kurt. We'll check back with you in a minute. We are continuing our conversation now with Easton Folster. I do want to note that we are coming to you in partnership with Utah's leading golf organizations. What's the first one on the list, Easton?
I would say Utah Golf Association.
Utah Golf Association, the Utah section, PGA, Fairways Media, the Utah Golf Foundation, the Utah Golf Course Superintendents Association, the Utah Junior Golf Association, and First Tee Utah. And this first hour of the show is presented by Salt Lake City Golf at slcgolf.com or Salt Lake City Golf app, where you can make tee times on either the website or the app. And of course, we are powered as always by T-Box at tbx.golf, where they have cracked the code on the whole golfer experience with clubs, coaching, and community. So, Easton, we were talking about all the different reasons people have for wanting to be in the State Am year after year after year. I think there are just so many. I think they're all really good. Let's go back to this list you guys made of the State Am by the numbers. So we were where we left off. There are 288 competitors who made the championship field out of 900 and change who tried to qualify. And let's look at the age difference here. 69 is the oldest, 14 is the youngest. And you mentioned the 14-year-old is Tony Finau's son, Drace, 69 years old. And that is
Paul Cannon.
Paul Cannon. What a good guy. I see Paul at the senior tournaments. He's just like good guy, obviously a good player at 69 years old. And I'm going to do the math for you folks. That's 1 short of 70. He is qualifying to play in the State Am. And I know the answer to this, but Easton, I'm going to let you say it. Does the UGA give any quarter to the women who try to qualify, or the old dudes who try to qualify, or is it just the same?
It's the same.
Wow.
Yeah, State Amateur, it's after one prize, and so it's all for the trophy.
And at some of these courses, it is really stretched out. I know the tips were played, of course, at Talons Cove in the qualifier there, and the tips at Talons are like 7,200 yards, but there's a couple of holes in particular. Number 6, a par 3, 260 yards. It is all the par 3 you ever going to want. But 69-year-old Paul Cannon, I don't know where he qualified, but if he was at Talons, he's walking back to the tips with everybody else.
That's right. Yep. We treat everyone the same with qualifying. And so we try to do the best job we can in identifying those that should be here this week. Hence why it's a lot of people's goal just to make it. You know, it's a tall task just to get here.
It is.
And so, yeah, we take qualifying serious, and more often than not, it's probably going to be played at the tips at most golf courses. And that's the truth, whether it's for someone, a junior, or whether it's for a senior or super senior. So everybody,
or in the case of Whitney Bance, now she qualified on the lake course at Wasatch, which is not an overpowering course. It exacts a different kind of test from you, but still.
Yeah, I think any player would be wise to look at the qualifying sites and pick something that might be advantageous.
Sure.
I would assume that most players do that, minus those that are restricted by schedule. But yeah,
schedule's a big
I think
one.
everybody would be wise to look at what the yardages might be for a qualifier and pick one that suits their game.
Talk to us about the total number of senior and the total number of junior players. I think this is interesting.
Yeah, lots of fun, right? 17 seniors in the field. You spoke to some of that earlier with, of course, Paul Cannon, not just being a senior, but a super senior. And then 51 juniors. I mean, the junior golf in Utah is, as you know,
so
pretty
good.
Deep, pretty stacked.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually not too surprised by that number.
No, and you're looking at a future champion.
Oh,
essentially,
yeah.
in that junior group.
That's true, Jen.
I mean, it really is.
I think, I would say that out of the 51, I'd be surprised if there wasn't a future champion that came out
or
of that
maybe
group.
5.
Oh, I think you could bet the house on it.
About 5 of those.
Yeah.
So we take a lot of pride in that, that there's this is a championship for Utah golf.
Absolutely. I want to send some love to 3 of those 17 senior players in the field. They are also former champions, and those are John Wright, who won this thing twice, 2012 and 2014. Darren Overson, who is the current defending senior state am champ, and he won it in 1998. And then in 1992, the great Brad Sutterfield, who is the head coach down at Utah Tech. So they're senior players who have won this thing in the past as well. Pretty impressive stuff. Let's check in with Kurt Craigthorpe and see how the guys are doing out there. Kurt, what's up?
Yeah, significant on number 5 that Bowen Moss missed his 12-footer with a chance to go 3 up. So one of the classic case of he did a practice putt and knocked it right in, as we all do. But,
that second guy
remains 2 up. I got to follow up on this senior thing, and it's incredible now. As the years go by, golfers become more impressive, and Jack Ridd is one of those.
Yes.
Consider that he won a state am match at 65 and made the 32-player bracket at 70. And Darren Overson at 51 was the only senior in match play. So, I mean, Jack Ridd just gets better in his second life, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah, that is amazing. Of great stuff. All right, Kurt, we'll check back with you here in a minute. Easton, what does the state am mean to you? You guys run, I'm going to say 11, but I'm not sure I'm right. How many championships do you run?
Yeah, that's right.
I actually got that. Okay, that surprises me. Okay, you run 11 championships. Men, women, juniors, seniors, up and down. It is for the entirety of the UGA membership. But this is the big dog.
It's the granddaddy.
What does this mean to you?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, and it means a lot. This is my 9th state am. It's something I take really serious. I mean, I'm certainly.
Let's pause here. Really?
9 years?
9, yeah. This is my 9th.
Where did those years go?
I know.
Man? Wow.
I know.
Time
flies, and it's something I take really serious. There's a little bit of pressure that comes with it. It's
heck yeah!
Oldest continuous tournament.
You don't want to be the one to mess that up.
Yeah. So there's some pressure, and it's something that in looking back, I take a lot of pride in having just a really, really small piece of it. It's something that gets passed down right from executive director to executive director, and from tournament director to tournament director, and you hope to pass the torch, and you hope to make your predecessors proud, and the people that made this special before you. And so it's something that is near and dear to my heart. I hope I'm here for a lot longer and have many more state ams in front of me as well, but it's just been a fun journey, and it's something I look forward to. It's a lot of work.
Well, and it's been going. I mean, it's been going on for quite a while. So it's almost as though you don't have to do anything spectacular. Just don't mess anything up.
There is, yeah. No, there's an element to that.
Nothing new. Just make it all work.
For sure. And we do try, each year to look at, different ways to add, to be additive. Whether it's, different signage, or you guys maybe seen the last few years, just adding a nice floral arrangement around the trophy on the tee, just little things that make it, that make it special.
I do really like the champion signs. I always go check them out, even though I've seen them before.
Yep, I
always like looking at them.
Yep.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun, and the goal is just to make it special for the players. Yeah. And at the end of the week, we want to present the trophy to a deserving champion, which I think we've always done. Like I said earlier in the previous segment, you're not going to stumble into winning. So
no, you won't. And this, as we described earlier, this format is so exacting and demanding. Your great phrase, you're not going to stumble into it. Yes, regardless of who emerges from any state am and all of its elimination, regardless of who emerges today between Cam Crawford and Bowen Moss, you will hand that trophy this afternoon to a deserving champion. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then you engrave their names on the trophy, and you celebrate them, and they get a big piece of the championship history too. I mean, as much pride as I take in the state am, being the one that's kind of behind the scenes running, I can't imagine being a player that gets to win a championship with that level of history. I think that's got to be.
Oh, and we say this all the time. I mean, they will forever be the beginning of their name is going to come with, former state am champ, and that's your name.
And it'll be at the top of your obituary.
Yep.
That's the way I like to look at it. You win this tournament, you will always be
wife,
remembered.
Your kids, state am.
State am.
And maybe not in that order.
I know, right? That's the worst part. That's the worst part.
Tommy Sharp, former state am champ, survived by his wife and kids. What's your favorite state am memory of the 9 you've been here?
Oh, that's not fair. That's too many.
I know.
It's a lot. I'd have to put some thought into it. The first thing that comes to mind is, I think one of my favorite state ams was in 2020, actually, with the COVID year.
COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons that was special. Being up at Jeremy was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think we talked about that streak. I wasn't the executive director at the time. I was the tournament director. But,
that was Jake Miller. And there was a lot of talk of, Jake, don't let this happen on your watch.
Oh, the pressure.
Don't screw this up.
And we figured it out, right?
Yeah.
And we had to make a lot of accommodations and tweak a bunch of stuff, as everyone did in that time. But to be able to run it, and it was just a special championship. If I'm not mistaken, it was Mitchell Scow.
Yeah, Mitchell Scow versus Blake Tomlinson in the final. That was a great final.
Well, and a great gallery too.
It was a rolling. I'm blanking on the stupid word for the cookout you do before a football game.
Tailgate.
It was a rolling tailgate of Utes fans. Blake Tomlinson versus Mitchell Scow.
Oh, that would have been great.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I remember that gallery, and it just felt like a really special final. And I've got a bunch of memories, but that's the first one that comes to mind.
That's totally legit. Comes to mind. And on what a great golf course.
Mm-hmm.
Love Jeremy Ranch.
Absolutely.
So cool. What are you going to do tomorrow, Easton?
Yeah, great question. My answer is better than our staff. So we're actually our 2 tournament directors, Luke, and we have another Easton on staff. They're actually, I wish I could say that they had a day off. I feel bad for them, but they're headed to they're headed to the country club to get the golf course marked and prepared for a U.S. Amateur final qualifying on Monday.
Yep.
I'm going to enjoy a little bit of time with family. So nice. I know our staff will get a few days next week, but they're going to be right back to it.
It's tournament season.
It is tournament season.
What do you do?
It is. And look, I asked that question knowing that the USAMQ was on the calendar. But now I've got a different question. I'm still processing that you've been with us 9 years, back in Utah for 9 years. You're a native Utah, but we're down with the Sun Country Golf Association in New Mexico. Now you got to know, how old are your kids now?
5, 3, and 10 months.
That little boy is 5 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh.
He's so awesome.
he is adorable.
The character.
Yeah. That is true. All right. Easton Folster, incredibly good work to you, to Luke, to your entire staff, everybody involved. We see him up here working so hard throughout the week. We've got to send some love down the way here to Randy Dodson.
Yep.
See if he's listening to us.
Randy,
wave to us.
He's not.
He's not listening. Okay, Randy Dodson, who's been keeping those of us who are trying to tell the stories, keeping us fed with all the information and stuff that we need. Everybody involved in this, congratulations. Great work.
Thank you. And I'll add to that. I think part of what makes this event and this championship so historic and so special is the storytellers, you, Jan, Randy, all the media that's up here. I've always mentioned Kurt Kragthorpe's just a walking history book.
He is the best. Let's check in with him now. Yes. Kurt, what's going on out there?
Well, this will come as no surprise. Cam Crawford is not going away.
Nope, that's been his story this week.
Just made a 25-footer. Bowen Moss now with a 20-footer to try to match him on number 6.
Okay, so it currently stands at Moss 2 up, but looks like Cam's gonna cut back into it on number 6. Am I right about that?
Yep, 1 up.
Okay. Moss misses 1 up. They move on to the par 5 7th hole. Bowen Moss 1 up. All right. Thank you, Kurt. We will check back in with you. Right now, we got to take a break. When we come back on the other side, a little things and stuff. You are listening to Utah Golf Radio, powered by T-Box on the Rocky Mountain Golf Network.
Clear, guys. Paul, I'm struggling to get Mike on the phone. I'll let you know when I got him. Mike's up.
Yeah. Utah Golf Radio coming to you live today from Soldier Hollow. We are here for the final of the Utah State Am, and we've got Kurt Craigthorpe out on the course. Kurt, how are the boys doing?
Well, they're making the long walk after the tee shots on number 7.
Yeah.
The par 5. One point I would make about the setup by the UGA and Keith Hansen today is they're playing pretty much a full golf course. Now, the one exception being number 18, which, again, will play short and drivable. But the rest is tipped out, to use the golf expression.
Okay, you mentioned 18 short and drivable. Kurt, you and I were both there when Cam Crawford last night in the failing sunlight got his ticket to this final with some explosive histrionics on number 18. Walk us through what we saw there.
What I thought was really fascinating by that whole sequence was the way he hit his drive so poorly and short on 17.
Yes.
And ended up losing that hole to a 2-putt birdie. But then he stepped up and ripped it on 18 and, like he said, got a perfect bounce down that hill.
He totally did. So they're playing. Keith Hansen has the course set up with playing the very front tee, the red tee. It measured at 327, and as we all know, number 18 has a steep slope once you crest the hill. And Cam Crawford was able to find the speed slot with his drive, and it tracked right down, not only onto the green, but only 10 feet from the hole. He jars it for an eagle 2, and the match was tied at that point to win the 18th hole and get a ticket to the finals. It was epic.
Yeah, and it was classic. And Keith, of course, was delighted just to see a swing hole like that. He's in a perfect world, somebody's going to make it 1 on a par 4 to win the tournament, but a 2 is pretty close.
2 is pretty cool. All right. We'll check back with you here in a minute, Kurt. Jan, we need to talk a little things and stuff. What's going on at Uinta Golf?
4 letters.
What are they?
SALE.
That's your favorite thing.
I know.
What do you got there?
I can't help myself. Everything is on sale. And of course, I'm not looking at men's stuff. So can I just not talk about men's stuff? I'm just going to go with women. Go to the worldwidegolfshops.com. Go to the red button that says sale and then have at it.
Okay.
I mean,
what are you finding when you do that?
Well, here's the problem. I have probably 50, 60 golf skirts. So I don't need one of those. But there is, and I have probably 20 of them in white, but there's this white skirt that just says, you must come home with me.
I can't tell you how happy I am to hear you say that.
Because you have the thing with white shirts.
White golf shirts.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wearing a white golf shirt today.
Almost. But it's the thing. You have a white golf skirt or shirt thing. I have a white golf skirt thing. I have to have it in every shape, every color, every iteration of white.
And I want to know, Brooke, are you listening?
She is.
My closet of white golf shirts
is only matched by my closet of white skirts.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
No, but the hard part is getting rid of it. I'm going through this thing where I'm going to purge at the end of the summer.
No, you're not.
Okay, I'm not. But I'm going to tell people that I am, and I might purge like 5 items, but outside of that, I mean, I can't. That's the thing. You just can't get rid of golf stuff. So
where can you get your white golf skirts?
You can get them at Uinta Golf, of course.
Uinta Golf, and
it's probably on stinking sale.
With stores around the state in Riverdale, Sugar House, Sandy, Orem, and St. George. Go to Uinta Golf to get your
white skirt and white golf shirt.
They've got them. All right. We got to take a break. When we come back, wait. Before we do that, I want to check in with Kurt Craigthorpe one more time. Kurt, what's going on out there?
I can update with one shot, and that is Cam Crawford from well back in the fairway behind Bowen Moss. just put it in that little hollow in front of the number 7 green, and Bowen is standing over an iron as we speak.
Okay. All right. We'll check in with you in a minute. We need to take a break. When we come back on the other side, Jan, is anybody surprised that the Max Togisala train keeps chugging down the track?
No, I saw that and I'm like, again. It's like, again, yeah, it's not surprising, but I'm happy that it's happening, but I'm not surprised.
I love it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there's probably nothing I love more in the game than Max Togisala winning the U.S. Adaptive Open Senior Division, seated division again. We're going to have Max on the show when we come back. You are listening to Utah Golf Radio, powered by T-Box on the Rocky Mountain Golf Network.
Clear, guys. Max is on the line, Paul. Back in 10, guys. Mike's hot.
It's 9:00 on a Saturday. That means Utah Golf Radio coming to you live today from Soldier Hollow, where we are here for the finals of the Utah State Am, being contested as we speak between Bowen Moss, who is the defending champion, going for his second State Am title in a row, and Cameron Crawford, the first Mid-Am player to make the finals in 10 years. Jan, it's been 10 years. It was last done by Aaron Smith in 2016 at Alpine, where he lost ultimately to Patrick Fishburne. Cameron Crawford.
And you were saying that when we were talking about our
yeah.
top 10, that you really wanted a Mid-Am to show up.
Wanted a Mid-Am to show up. We got one. I picked different
the wrong
ones.
One, but
Cam Crawford, good guy, great player, and he is in the final with Bowen Moss as we speak. Right now, Moss is 1 up through 6 holes. We are coming to you in partnership with Utah's leading golf organizations, the Utah Golf Association, the Utah Section PGA, Fairways Media, the Utah Golf Foundation, the Utah Golf Course Superintendents Association, the Utah Junior Golf Association, and First Tee Utah. This second hour of the show is presented by College Coaches Connection at coachlink.io. Get connected, get recruited. At College Coaches Connection, they will help the kids in your life find the right college to continue their athletic careers. Coachlink.io or 801-550-9131. We are joined now by one of the most dominant players in the game on a world scale. That is Utah's own Max Togisala. Max, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Paul. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Oh, you're welcome, Max. You're welcome anytime. But it's funny to me to hear you say that because, Max, you just won the U.S. Adaptive Open again. Of course we're going to have you on the show.
And Paul has a formula. If you win, you have to come on the show.
I call.
He calls. Yeah, Paul calls if you win.
You win, I call.
Yes,
that's how it works. That's how it works. Max, you win the seeded division of the U.S. Adaptive Open again. Turns out when again Utah's own Mike Bailey conceived and made happen the U.S. Adaptive Open, which is probably the greatest accomplishment of his impactful career. Turns out he was doing this for you, for a Utah player. Max, congratulations, friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So this time, and one of the things you have talked about as you have dominated the seated division is that you want to get into the mix on the overall championship. Mm-hmm. This one you won by 22 shots in the seated division. Okay. It's not like it surprised anybody, but I think more newsworthy this year, you're top 3 overall. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, super proud of how I played this week to make it to top 3. Considering from the past years, I was only top 20, and then last year I was top 6, so that was a super big accomplishment. So to do better than last year was kind of shocking, and I'm very happy with how I played.
Incredible. Let's just go over your scores here for a minute.
Let's go round 2.
Yeah, well, and 3. You shot, okay, overall, 54-hole event. You shot a -9, 207 on rounds of 73, and then buckle your seatbelts, 67. Max, how the heck are you doing this?
Oh, lots of practice. Hours on the course where people don't see, and happy it all paid out and worked out great.
You know, it's funny to hear you say that because what you just said applies to any and every and all champions.
Yeah.
Especially those who are dominant. And look, I was not falling into hyperbole when I said you are the dominant seeded player in the world. You simply are. There is no other seeded player
who can
keep pace with you. But it's just true. You're the dominant player in the world.
Yeah.
But a couple of years ago, Fairways Magazine, when you first were merging on the scene, Fairways Magazine had me write an article about what you're doing, and the headline we went with is "Max is a golf story." And my point is, yeah, you're in a wheelchair, and that's hard and unbelievable what you do. But the fact is, you play golf. You play good golf, and you are a golf story. And I think that's what shines through when you go out and go 67. I ask you how you do it. You say, I work hard and I practice hard. You're a golf story, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
What are you working on?
What's next? I'm not sure how you top that.
What do you do now?
Vacation?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Play for fun?
Vacation.
Play for fun, Max?
Yeah. I have a few tournaments lined up in September. One of them being an all-seeded championship or golf tournament. So everyone there is only going to be seeded players, and there's going to be, I think, 20 to 30 players there. So that's
where will that be?
Yeah.
It's going to be in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay.
And so it's going to be a super fun event. It's going to be a 2-day event, and I think a lot of our seeded golfers are super excited to play with other seeded golfers and to show our game and to kind of see where everyone's at. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we know where you're at, and they're all looking up at you, trying to figure out how the heck do I get somewhere near Max Togisala, and I'm going to tell them, no, yeah, you're probably not going to do it, but go have fun trying. Incredible. To me, and I've had the fun of watching you play several times and playing with you a couple times. I've really enjoyed that. And you strike the ball well. There's no question. You hit it hard. You keep it in play. Amazing how well you strike the ball. But in my observation, it is your putting that truly sets you apart. And I tell people straight up, I want to putt like Max Togisala. I want to stroke the ball like Max Togisala. Not I want to see. I don't say I want to do it from a chair. I'm saying I want to putt like Max Togisala.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
And clearly to win something by 22 shots, you're making some putts. But tell us how this went for you this last week.
Yeah, so this last week I played in the 5th U.S. Adaptive Open at Woodmont Country Club in Maryland, and it was the same event as last year, so I knew the course pretty well going into it. I knew I could play well going into it because I shot 67 last year also, and I shot this year I shot 67 during the second and third round. Just really everything was going my way those 2 days. The second day I had a bogey-free 67, so that was awesome.
Nice.
I had a lot of saves for par that were pretty big for me right now. And I got up in the leaderboard quite a bit after that second day. I was like 6th or something, and then going into the third day, I was just trying to really finish in the top 10, and if I can get better, that's awesome. That'd be great. And I played with this guy named Simon Lee, and just watching him play some really good golf was also very helpful to see good golf and play good golf. And it was super inspiring to play with Simon. Simon's from North Korea or South Korea, and he has autism, and it's pretty inspiring to see what he can do, and it's pretty awesome to watch him hit the ball. It's really impressive. And I could say that about all the players there. And so, just played really well this week. Practice rounds were good. Weather was great, and the groups that I got to play in were even better. So having my family there was also a great thing to have. I had my parents and sister, and then my wife being there also. My dad caddied for me the first 2 days, which was great, and then my wife finished it off on the last day. So
nice.
It was a ton of fun.
That is really cool. Your second round 67, as you know, a clean card. Holy cow, we love those. But it's hard not to be blown away by your third round 67, a couple of bogeys, but 7 birdies, including 3 in a row. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I started on the front 9 there.
So you closed down with 3. Okay.
Yeah. So I went 5 under on the front 9, but those 3 birdies in a row, it just felt like the ball was going right at the hole every time. On the second birdie, I actually almost made a hole-in-one.
Oh, wow.
I thought it lipped out, and it just went past, so I had a little tap in for birdie, so that was always nice. And then finishing on 9, I just made the putt. It was just fairway green and then make the putt. And then going into the back 9, I made a few bogeys, but we kept our composure, and we were mentally still there, and I knew I could make a comeback a little bit. And so, it was a good round.
It was a good round indeed, and really terrific closing out with a birdie when, in fact, you could have 21 putted and still won. But it was what an incredible accomplishment, Max. Thank you. It's so cool. And one of the things I really love about what's happening here, and I think this is part of Mike Bailey's legacy as well, is that you're able to say, yes, the USGA puts on this Adaptive Open for players of a variety of different challenges. But then you're able to say, yeah, I'm already looking forward to this next tournament. It's going to be another seeded tournament. My point is, these are growing around the country. You're also the state champion in a handful of states that are offering this. tell us please about how these events are growing and becoming more plentiful.
Yeah. From when I first started playing in these adaptive golf tournaments, I would sign up through the United States Golf Disabled Alliance, and there was only maybe 15 events throughout the whole year, and now they're up to close to 50, and that's because almost every state is getting a tournament. Utah is working on one right now. I think we're going to potentially have one in 2027. And so it's really awesome to see that the golf associations in different states are starting to get into it. I played in Minnesota and then in Arizona, and those were two great events. And even worldwide, they're starting to get more and more tournaments, which is great.
That is really cool. And I do want to note, since you didn't say it, you won in Minnesota and you won in Arizona as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of that again thing.
Again. Yeah. Well, Max, thank you so much for jumping on with us today. Again, congratulations. And my take remains, this is a golf story. Max is a golf story. And what we're talking about here is really excellent high-level golf. 67. Folks, that's golfing the ball. Congratulations, Max. Really well done.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, Jan, that is Max Togisala, now the four-time U.S. Adaptive Open champion in the seeded division. What an incredible story. And again, we've said this, but I want to say it again. Max Togisala, Ogden, Utah, is the dominant, not the top, he is that, but he is the dominant seeded player in the world. There is nobody else on this planet who, from a wheelchair, can play the game of golf as well as Max Togisala.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
Great stuff, my God.
Love it.
All right, we need to check in with Kurt Craigthorpe and get an update. Kurt, what's going on out there?
Okay, while we were away on number 7, it was kind of a classic case of what you expect from these players on a par 5, and that was Bowen Moss hitting an iron shot to 20 to 25 feet and making the eagle putt. And
wow.
Crawford would have had about a 15-footer for birdie, and so Bowen goes 2 up. Cam just made a nice run from 40 feet. You asked him about his lag putting yesterday, and it continues to be impressive, but this one didn't go in, and Bowen now has a 20-footer to try to go 3 up.
Let's talk about the lag putting for just a quick minute. You and I have been watching it this week. Soldier Hollow Gold is a difficult course to read the greens on. And then if you get the read right, getting the speed right is difficult. Lag putting is really demanding out here. Tell us about what you've seen this week.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And for all the things that separate the elite players from the rest of the world, the ball striking is one thing, but the lag putting just continues to amaze me, how they get the perfect speed every time. And on a course that seemingly requires a lot of local knowledge, they just adapt to it so well.
Yeah, it is impressive and great stuff. So the players are on the par 3 8th hole. Actually, we're starting.
2 pars there. Yep.
Oh, they've already. Okay, it hasn't posted yet. So then Moss remains 2 up through 8. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, 2 up through 8. And as a matter of fact, we can see the traveling circus now on the 9th tee, getting ready to play the number 9 hole, which will come right here in front of us in a minute. All right. Thank you. We will check back with you in a minute.
Okay.
So Jan, that is really interesting. This lag putting out here, and look, that is a separator.
Mm-hmm.
Even among elite players. And
Yep.
Kurt made the point well. The ball striking, yes, but
Yes.
when you get to the elite level, they all strike the ball.
Yep.
But on the PGA Tour, where they keep all these statistics and they've got the shot link to measure everything, lag putting is a separator among the best of the best.
Mhm.
And matter of fact, now that I say that, that's something Max Togisala really
Yes.
excels at.
Mhm.
And again, I want to putt like Max, but the the lag putting has been a separator out here this week as well.
Yeah.
And so that's something that Cam Crawford has done exceptionally well, and I think has been a fuel for him making his way to the final.
Yes.
All right. Through 8 holes, this State Am final is Bowen Moss 2 up on Cam Crawford. And we should note here, it is a scheduled 36-hole final. They will play the morning 18, take a break for lunch of some 45 minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes. And then play a second 18, and the score from the first 18 carries over.
Yes.
All right, Jan, we need to talk about somebody who needs some relief. I Need Relief, brought to us by Duro Health. Check them out at durohealth.com. This innovative back therapy program will help you swing faster, hit farther, play better, and most importantly, feel better. Durohealth.com. You got to check them out. You know who needs some relief this week, Jan?
Oh, yeah.
Aimline.
Yeah, what?
The whole company, the whole thing. Did you see this? This is one of the highlights of the year so far. So Aimline is one of these computer-generated visual things where it plots the line on the putt based on what the computer does to read the slope in the green and the speed of the green and all that. So Scotty Scheffler playing in the Scottish Open this last week. Now he missed the cut, but before he missed the cut, he's there. He's got about a 15-foot downhiller with some borrow to it. And the broadcast puts up the Aimline prediction, and it shows this swinging left to right putt and the perfect speed. It goes in the hole. It plots out visually on the screen, right? Scotty steps up, and instead of hitting it anywhere near the Aimline route, going left to right, he plays it
completely
right to left.
Oh, and nails
it.
And everyone's going, what
It's so
was
good.
that? That's like moving the line of scrimmage. With, they have the yardage line. That it's one of that would be a faux pas to end all those.
AI meet Scotty Scheffler.
Yes,
good luck.
That's a good one. AI meet Scotty.
Yeah, it was great. So anyway, this little video is floating around on the golf internet, folks. You got to see it. It is fun stuff. All right, let's talk about somebody on a Sizz. On a Sizz, brought to us by Copper Rock. We do love ourselves some Copper Rock. This great championship course is born to be played, as they say, and it is. It is a championship test that you can get on and play. And the thing about Copper Rock is it's fun, Jan.
And it's in our backyard.
Yep, right there in Hurricane, Utah. Check them out at copperrock.com. Get yourself on their tee sheet and go play Copper Rock. Guarantee you're going to have some fun. Tell you somebody on a Sizz. We mentioned this briefly last week, but I'm just not ready to let go of it. And that is Tony Finau making 236 feet of putts during a PGA Tour round. Now, this averages out to 13.1 feet per hole. Now, let's think about this. Jan, when you make a 13-foot putt, do you feel pretty good about that?
Yes.
Oh, I do?
Yes.
I feel like, okay, good. I picked up something.
Yeah.
I got away with something here. I made a 13-foot putt. You don't make all the 13-foot putts. Not only that, you make the greatest players in the world make less than half. The break-even point on the PGA Tour for 50% make rate is 8 feet. So 13 feet, it gets down to in the high 30s, I think, maybe low 40s. Anyway, 236 feet of putt in one round is staggering.
Okay, I guess that could go both ways. I mean, does it mean that you should just hit better?
You mean hit it closer?
Versus what you're doing?
Well, look,
I'm just asking
no. It's a valid question. The average proximity on the PGA Tour is not as tight as people would think.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is obvious when you think about it. What do you get on the highlights? You get somebody dancing it by the hole.
Mm-hmm.
But what you don't get on the highlights is people hitting it to 25 feet, which is about the average proximity for the most of the shots that they hit. Now, they different for different distances, and they keep the stats for different distance windows, but let's call it 25 feet. Okay, that doesn't make Sports Center, but if you are making 256 feet of putt, you're making them from 40 feet during the course of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hitting it to 40 feet, maybe it's doing that from 210 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an unusual proximity from
right.
210. But then he gets up there and jars the putt. It makes 236 feet of putt. Making 100 feet of putts, 100 feet of putts is a good, solid putting round. That's an elite putting round.
Do you know what I want to do now? I want to measure all my putts for 18 holes and see how many putts I make and
you don't?
how many feet. No, I don't do that.
I keep track of my how I walk them off their estimates.
Well, yeah, I know, but like, do you write down every?
Yes.
I mean, I write down how many putts I have.
No, I write down.
I don't write the distance.
I write the distance of my lag.
What does your scorecard look like? That
It's a little messy.
A mess.
Yeah, it's a little messy.
Okay, I gotta see this.
But I very seldom get 100 feet of putts.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not that great a putter anymore, which brings me pain to say. That used to be the best part of my game, and then I lost the putter I was born to have.
Oh my gosh! So you replaced it with 9 more.
I know. I never have been able to find one.
Yeah, you're trying to get the fit.
I'm just searching for that.
It's like the perfect shoe and the perfect putter. And Paul.
Not sure where to go with the perfect shoe comment. But
well, because you're trying to find the perfect, because you have a hard time with shoes. You're trying to find a perfect shoe and a perfect putter.
I do have a hard time finding shoes that work for me. That is true.
Yep.
Okay. Where do we go down this rabbit hole? Oh,
Quest is on.
Tony Finau is on assist.
That's crazy.
236 feet of putt. It's amazing. All right. Looking out the window here, we can see that the players are preparing to hit their second shots into the par 4 number 9 hole. I think that's what's going on. So we can watch it. Let's go to Kurt first. Okay. Kurt, what's happening out there?
Almost a major development on that tee shot. Bowen Moss, as you can see, is from the player's perspective left of the cart path.
Yeah.
Luckily, that's banked, and his ball landed right there, and didn't go out of bounds. But it's maybe 5 yards from out of bounds, and so he's got a difficult second shot, but it could be worse. And Cam Crawford is right in the middle of the fairway.
Son of a gun. Okay. Advantage Crawford on the number 9 hole. All right. We will check back with you here in a few minutes, Kurt. We got to take a break. When we come back on the other side, we have something really special and really nice. Dan Forsman, PGA Tour stalwart, played on the PGA Tour for years. Forsman chose Utah as an adult. He lives here now, has lived out his life here with his wife, Trudy, and he goes to state AMs. We had a chance to sit down with Dan Forsman. We had a lovely conversation. We'll have that talk for you when we come back on the other side. You are listening to Utah Golf Radio, powered by T-Box on the Rocky Mountain Golf Network.
Clear, guys. Back in a minute, guys. Mic is hot.
Yeah. Utah Golf Radio coming back at you from the Utah State Am. Let's go out on the course and see how Bowen Moss handled that tough shot. Kurt Craigthorpe, what happened?
He handled it very well. It was an awkward stance with the ball well below his feet, but he hit it to 20 feet pin high, maybe even a little bit closer than that. Cam Crawford from the middle of the fairway, his approach shot spun back just barely off the green, so he's still got a makeable birdie attempt, and he's really good at figuring out how much speed to allow for these putts through the fringe. I think that was one of the more impressive things about his lag putting yesterday.
Okay, that's a very good point. Wow, incredible stuff. We can see them from where we sit out on the green. We'll check back with you here in a minute. As it stands through 8 holes, Bowen Moss is 2 up. All right. Jan, we need to talk about Dan Forsman. Dan Forsman had a really solid PGA Tour career. 5-time champion on the PGA Tour. He won 3 tournaments on the Senior Tour, on the Champions Tour. In 1993, he was in the mix coming down the stretch Sunday afternoon in the Masters, and joined a long, painful list of players
who were just eaten by Tiger.
Eaten by number 12. This was in 1993.
Oh, sorry.
So prior to Tiger being there, but eaten by hole number 12
at
Augusta.
Yes, that's the one.
But Dan Forsman, he married a woman from Utah, and we're going to hear more about that in a minute.
That seems to be a common thread here with these golfers. They just come here and marry our women.
It's happened. Jimmy Walker, Phil Mickelson. Now, Walker and Forsman met their wives at events here in Utah. Phil Mickelson met Amy at ASU, where they were both students. Anyway, at ASU, Forsman was a player at ASU as well, and you will hear more about their story. It's very sweet. But Forsman is a Utahn, and he does the coolest thing. He comes to the State Am every year, and he walks along quietly, no fanfare. He just comes and he supports these players, and he comes out to watch great golf. And I love how he does it. I love that he does it. We had a chance to sit down with him yesterday and talk to him about it. I need to tell you, in this, I say that he's a 4-time winner on the PGA Tour. He chose not to correct me. I was wrong. It actually is 5-time winner on the PGA Tour.
You know what? I just noticed, I was looking at his Mitsubishi Electric Championship, and he happened to beat J-Don Blake.
Yeah, that is true. So that was a Utah event there.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to play this conversation with Dan Forsman. Before we do that, though, the crowd is moving off of number 9. Let's check in with Kurt real quick and see what happened there. Kurt, how did number 9 play out?
Each player missed the birdie putt. They turned out to be pretty sharp breaking putts and didn't really come close to the hole, but close enough for pars, and so we moved to number 10.
Move to number 10, Bowen Moss, 2 up through the front 9 of the morning 18. All right, let's go back to Dan Forsman. We recorded this conversation with him yesterday. It was really terrific. Dan Forsman is a great player. We know that, but what a lovely man. Here is Dan Forsman. I am here with four-time PGA Tour winner Dan Forsman. Dan, there's several things I want to talk with you about. First of all, why are you here at the Utah State Am?
Well, I guess you could say I have nothing else to do, but that's not true. I have a lot to do. But I like coming to the State Amateur, the Utah State Am. It's, as you know, it's the oldest amateur championship. It's the oldest tournament in the country.
The oldest continuously running tournament in the world, actually.
So I'm just thrilled to, as a resident of Utah, I watched these young players come along. I remember being in their shoes. It didn't seem that long ago, but it's been a long time ago. But I'm always thrilled to come out and watch the young talent play and play for a really prestigious title.
It is at that. And you come every year without fanfare. You walk, you just follow along and give them your support. It's pretty meaningful, I think.
Well, I hope so. It's not why I do it, of course, but I just like to watch them play. But I hope if they, when they have success, if they think maybe some former tour professional came out and watched them play, I hope that might mean something too, but I'm not here for that benefit by any means.
Well, I think it does mean something to them. I know it means something to the Utah golf community that you are a part of it and that you support it in this way, lending your presence. You show up. That matters. Let's talk about why you're here in Utah. You're an ASU guy. I've always thought of you as an Arizona guy, yet here you are, a Utah guy now.
Well, the late Carl Tucker, one of the great men in golf in Utah.
Yeah, we all have Tucker stories.
He introduced my wife and I.
Oh, really?
The Coast Amateur at Riverside Country Club on the 10th tee. And it was quite an interesting meeting. He introduced us, and the rest is history. Here we are married with 2 children and 4 grandchildren, and love Utah and have lived here for, since we've been married, and we wouldn't think of any other place we'd want to live.
I love that. Now I want to hear how in the world Carl Tucker introduced you. Was it gruff? Did he tell you to take her out? How'd that go?
Well, I was playing with a fellow named Jim Frost, who was from Washington State, part of their contingent that played in the Pacific Coast Amateur that happened to be held at Riverside Country Club that year. My wife Trudy was taking a tennis class from Coach Tucker that summer. I'd known Coach Tucker because we were in the WAC at that time playing against BYU. And I always admired Coach Tucker. I thought he was just an unbelievably amazing man. And he said, hey, have you met Trudy? And I said, no, I haven't. She was driving a cart for a fellow, this Jim Frost, in our group. And I thought it was just an older fellow dating a young gal. I thought, well, she's a cute girl. He's pretty smart. And come to find out, she was just caddying for him. And she said, well, maybe you guys could come have a hamburger at our house. Her dad was dear friends with Lynn Bell, who was the president of the UGA at the time, and hosting that year. So he asked if his dear friend Lum Holly, my father-in-law, would have Trudy come out and drive this cart for this fellow because he had a heart condition. It was 105 degrees. He thought he might have a heart attack. So reluctantly, she agreed to come out, and she drove the cart for him, and that's when Coach Tucker introduced us. And thereafter, she invited us for dinner, met her family, showed me around, showed me Hobble Creek.
Oh, well, you got to come now.
Oh my gosh, Bridalveil Falls. And so we became, really friendly. And I, not being a member of the church, I felt like, gee, that's a step out of my comfort zone in a sense. But I respect and admired the faith of the Mormon people. And, I had a religious background, but I decided that she said, I want to see you again. And I said, well, I'm not sure how my mom and dad are going to feel about that, but I sure would like to see you again too. And
well, she didn't say she wanted to see your mom and dad. She said she wanted to see you.
True, but she was waiting on a young man who was serving in the mission field, and I didn't want to step in between that, knowing the unique dynamics, which was pretty foolhardy of me, frankly, because
there have been so many go south.
I'll bet. But anyway, she agreed to see me again, and she flew down to the Bay Area. I lived in California, and my parents did, and I was there for the summer, and she came down, and we just hit it off tremendously, and we decided we'd want to see each other again. I went back to school at ASU, and she came down, got a job down there with a software company, and worked down there diligently, and we decided that we wanted to get married, got engaged, and it was about a year later we got married.
That's so sweet. I love that. Did she have an understanding of what it was to be hooking up with an aspiring professional golfer?
I think we were both naive at the time, thinking it was all going to work out rosy. We're going to be on tour, winning golf tournaments, and blah, blah, blah. But her dad loved golf. Her brother-in-law was a club professional down in Vegas, Las Vegas, and kind of warned her, yeah, hey, sis, they're all going to be on tour, right? You know, good luck. And ironically and thankfully, it worked out in our favor, and I got out there, and he became one of my biggest supporters too, I might add. So that was nice.
That is cool. What's fun, Dan, I followed you before I knew any Utah connections at all, before I knew anything about anything like this back in the day. You were just one who caught my attention, followed your career. It's so fun to be able to sit and talk with you now. Looking back on that career with a lot of success, but to be candid, a couple of near misses that probably were heartbreaking. What stands out in your mind?
Well, I pinch myself, I guess I should say. And someone once said, you can enjoy your success but never quite believe it. I think I kind of fall into that camp. I always desired, thought after I played college golf against the best, I thought, well, maybe I could try it and see what happens. I think I measure up fairly well with these fellows. And
4 minutes on this clip, guys.
And then when I got through Q school that first year, that was a huge break for me, because a lot of guys back then didn't get through, and then they languished, and they had to go play in state opens and other tours. And it's totally different now, which is, I think, a really good thing for the young players, because that's a lot of pressure 1 week for those guys to come through and have to perform. You can have a bad week, you can not feel well, you could have an injury or so on and so forth. But by the grace of God, I got through, and then to go on and win tournaments and move on with that progression, and then ultimately win multiple tournaments, and then try to compete for a major. Had a chance 1 year at the Masters, but it didn't quite work out.
Yes, you did. Oh, number 12 is so hard.
But I watched some other players struggle there too, so I guess I take some consolation in knowing
you are not alone on that list.
But it was great fun, and again, I met and played with so many wonderful champions, all Hall of Fame members, so many great players, and they loved the game. They carried the game to another level and took it to new heights. And I always admired them and what they meant to the game, and I tried to model myself in some respects after the way they treated the game and revered the game, and tried to make it a little bit better for the next group of players coming along. And I certainly have been blessed to be a tour winner. I went on and played the Champions Tour and was fortunate to win out there a couple times, and just met some great people, all walks of life, political figures, entertainers, you name it. Wonderful people like yourself who run golf organizations and make your hearty contribution to this great game. And it's just a great fraternity and sorority of men and women who love golf, and been very fortunate to have this be my career.
What memorabilia or keepsakes do you still have?
Well, I have the hardware that they gave me.
We've got to keep the trophies, baby.
Back in 2
and
years.
a few zeros in the bank, thankfully. That's certainly helpful. But no, what I cherish most are the pictures and the memories. When I go home and I go to my office and I look back and some of the pro-ams and some of the fun shots that I have that I remember from tournaments that I played decent with, and even ones I didn't, when I played with the best players, and watch them perfect and show off their talents and go on and win tournaments. Being in that electrifying atmosphere was really, really, really special, and it's hard to replace that.
At some point, the grandkids, you're going to be watching a PGA Tour event on TV, and it'll finally turn on in their heads. They'll say, "Wait, what? Grandpa, you did that? You were there?" What do you want your grandkids to know about Grandpa Dan?
Well, I'd like them to learn how to learn the game and play the game and enjoy the game, because I think it's such a wonderful. It's just the best game, I think, because you meet so many wonderful people, and you can play with all levels of ability with the handicap system and different tee boxes, and as long as you play along fairly quickly, I think that's a nice thing. Don't hold everybody up, right, and move along. Everybody has a marvelous time, and but I hope that they'll learn to love the game someday, whether they play it for fun or just go to a driving range or to Top Golf, for instance.
I like Top Golf.
So, and have that experience. But yeah, it's. I hope someday they'll look at maybe see some of the clippings and go, "Grandpa, you really were a tour player" when they get older, and maybe think about that for a minute. But
yeah, you really were, Dan Forsman. It's an honor and a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you so very much for giving us some of your time, and thank you for being here.
Paul, it's a pleasure, and I really, as I said, I admire what you do, and I keep playing that game yourself. You got a lot of talent. I want to see you go out there and get a trophy soon.
I'll be working on it. Thank you, Dan. All right.
I like Dan's wishful thinking.
I know, right?
If that wasn't motivation, Paul, I don't know what.
It was such a pleasure to sit with this great man and talk with him. I should note he is a member of the 2011 class of the Utah Golf Hall of Fame, as well. He absolutely should be. But what a neat thing. There's so many things there, Jen. I just want to know what gets your attention when you hear that.
You know, I like the personal stuff. I mean, you're golf geek, and I love the story of how he met his wife, and I just think that's so great, and I think it's interesting too that they did have to kind of come to terms with the different religion and make that work, because a girl coming from Utah brings home a man and says he's not LDS. The parents are saying goodbye.
Yeah, let's see, not LDS. Yeah, not he's going to try to play golf for a living.
And let's kick him out the door. I mean, but they were able to. True love overcame, and then she knew what she was getting into because her dad and her brother-in-law or whatnot were involved in golf. So she kind of had a clue.
And it certainly had to matter very clearly, not escape them that this is a really good man. Mm-hmm. But what a pleasure to talk with him.
Yeah, I could see that. I saw you interviewing him, and you look like a kid in a candy store.
Okay, there's that. I'm a bit of a fanboy. I know that. Yeah. All right, we need to check in with Kurt. They're up on the 10th green. Kurt, what's going on up there?
Yeah, both sizing up their putts. Cam's got about 30 feet up the hill, and then Bowen will have 15 feet. And I'm going to have to step aside now as Cam sizes this one up, but it's a great hole location. Back left, right on a crown.
Ooh, okay. All right, cool. We'll check in with you again in a minute. Incredibly good stuff there. So
you want me to say it?
Say again?
You want me to say something?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
I want to go back to Dan Forsman for a quick minute, and really. Dan Forsman and another member of the Utah Golf Hall of Fame, Carl Tucker.
Yes.
He's right. Tucker, people knew him. He had a reputation of being a great mind in the game, a great man in the game, and he was. He also could be just ever so slightly had a little bit of sandpaper in his personality. Mm-hmm. And so the idea, I loved hearing that story, the idea of Carl Tucker as matchmaker.
That's funny.
I like that. Puts a little bit of a rounding out on my understanding of Carl Tucker.
More of Carl Tucker. Yeah. We'll see a little bit different side of him.
That is good stuff. All right, Jan, what's next?
You know what's next.
I do. It's the What's Next segment brought to us by the Utah Golf Association. Stick around on the other side. We'll have more from Kurt Craigthorpe out on the course with the final between Bowen Moss and Cam Crawford. And we will tell you what's coming up next in Utah Golf. You are listening to Utah Golf Radio, powered by T-Box on the Rocky Mountain Golf Network.
Clear.
For Utah football.
Paul.
Hold on.
Thank you. Say again.
How much time do we have?
6 minutos. 6 minutes. Back at 20, guys. Mike's hot.
Okay, Utah Golf Radio. Coming back at you from Soldier Hollow, where we are here with the final of the Utah State Am being played between Bowen Moss and Cam Crawford. Let's check in with Kurt Craigthorpe out on the course and see how they're doing. Kurt, what are we missing?
2 pars on number 10. Both of those putts turned out to be pretty tricky, and Moss actually had to make about a 3.5 footer coming back for his par. If I have one big takeaway from these first 10 holes, it's how well Bowen is hitting his iron shots. But as he stands over the putts, I don't have 100% confidence in his speed control. He did make the 25-footer on number 7 for Eagle, so that's in his favor. But I really think the variable in this match going forward is Moss's putting. If he starts getting a little frustrated, it'll keep Cam Crawford in the match. But in terms of ball striking, Bowen's really right on.
That is an interesting take. All right, Kurt, thank you so much for being there. We will check in with you one more time. So they're on hole number 11 right now in the morning 18. Let's talk about some things coming up next, Jan, before we check back in with Kurt in a minute. Things happening next in Utah Golf. Of course, we're going to finish out the State Am, right?
Yep.
And so we will live stream the second 18. It will start after they take a little break for some lunch, and we will live stream the second 18 and bring you on home and have a champion for you. This will be done on the Utah Golf Association Instagram. So go to the on your Instagram account, go to Utah Golf Association.
And if you are a member of, if you are a, what is it, your Instagram follower, of the UGA, you get a notification that lets you know when you go live.
Thank you. I appreciate you mentioning that. Everybody who follows the UGA on Instagram will get a little notification saying UGA is going live. That'll be Kurt Craigthorpe and me, and we will be live streaming the second 18 on the UGA Instagram. Next week, July 18th, is the Utah Golf Expo. The Golf Expo's been dark for a couple of years, but it is coming back at the Mountain America Expo Center.
We will be there.
We will be there. This show will be live from the Golf Expo next week. That'll be a lot of fun. It's a one-day event this year. But check it out. You can get tickets in advance or at the door. Mountain America Expo Center next week. Doors open at 10 o'clock. Actually, okay, this is
I think up at 9, don't they? Or is it? I want to say 9.
Oh, well, they told me 10, but whatever it is, the thing is they're going later this year and marketing it as date night.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah. That'll be a lot of fun.
Bank of Utah Championship tickets are on sale now. You're going to need to get them because they sold out last year. bankofutahchampionship.com. Again, that is bankofutahchampionship.com. You can get your tickets on sale. And while you are on that website at bankofutahchampionship.com, click on the volunteer button. And there's still opportunities to volunteer. And if you would like to join our first tee group on hole number 13, we've got a special code for you that we will pick up the fees, the cost for volunteering. You get your shirt, your hat, and food, and all that stuff that goes with it. We will cover those costs.
2 minutes.
Be part of the first tee thing there. And so bankofutahchampionship.com. There also is the opportunity to volunteer at the Utah Championship on the Corn Ferry Tour. Go to utahchampionship.com. All right. With 1 minute left, let's check in with Kurt Craigthorpe. Kurt, we've just got a minute. What's going on?
Yeah, I can just report on the tee shots on number 11. Bowen hit it all the way down to the flat.
He's striking it well. That's great.
Okay, that's stupid long.
Oh, wow. His longest drive of the day, but he's in the left rough. But the trade-off is he has a nice angle toward the pin, which is pretty much back right. I love a lot of the hole locations today. It really takes some plucking with the tee shot, and so that's the good news for Cam is he's got a good angle.
All right. Great stuff. That is Kurt Craigthorpe. Kurt and I will live stream the second 18. All right. Thank you, everybody who's been a part of the show today. Thank you for listening. This is Paul Pugmire saying, don't jab it like Jan.
Jan Brownstein says, chug it. Do not pug it.
Always good advice. Please replace your divots, fix your ball marks. And for Andy Curtis, don't spit sunflower seeds on the green.
Stop it.
You are listening to Utah Golf Radio, powered by T-Box on the Rocky Mountain Golf Network.
Yep, absolutely.